After the whole impression is over in our lesson, we transition down into the requirement portion of the lesson. The requirements, we're going to stick with right face here. The requirements for right face, just two different things. To perform a right face, you have to be halted at the position of attention, and you also have to perform it at the cadence of quick time. Now, earlier when I was talking about the intro portion of our lesson, I mentioned that there were things that we had to do. We had to ask questions, we had to talk about safety, we had to personalize our lesson in different places, and we had to ask, I think I already mentioned questions, just different things that we had to do within our lesson. So what I'm going to talk about right now, as we go through the requirements portion, it's a good opportunity for you to start personalizing your lesson. And when I say personalizing your lesson, all I'm really talking about is I'm talking about adding more information than what the lesson plan is giving to you. A lot of times it's difficult to do as a brand new instructor because you don't know what the extra tidbits of information are you can use to set your trainees up for success. So a lot of the personalization comes really from when our trainees mess up on things and we realize, man, if I would have just said this differently, they probably wouldn't have got that wrong. But as we're starting teaching, we don't know all that stuff. So there's just a couple things that you can add to your classes just to start personalizing them and making them easier. But let's start from our transition. We transition from our whole impression into our requirements. Transitions, you're going to hear a lot about transitions. Transitions don't have to be elaborate. Remember, when we transitioned into our whole impression, we said something as simple as, I can't expect you to be able to do this unless I first show it to you. The same thing can be said for transition down into requirements. I could say something as simple as, trainees, just like with all tasks in the Air Force, we have to meet requirements before we can perform those tasks. The same thing is true for this drill movement. I can't perform a right face unless I meet certain requirements first. The first requirement for this lesson is that we have to be halted at the position of attention. Understand, that's all I have to say. I could simply say the first requirement is we have to be halted at the position of attention, and then I could blow right into my second requirement. Second requirement is that we have to perform this drill movement at the cadence of quick time. And then I can blow on through there if I didn't want to personalize anything. If I'm wanting to personalize, there's a couple different things I could do. I could say, trainees, the very first requirement to perform this drill movement is that we have to be halted at the position of attention. Remember, when you're halted at the position of attention, your thumbs are along your forefingers, your shoulders are back, your chest is out, and you're showing that core value of excellence in all you do before you can even perform this drill movement. So just simply by standing there at the position of attention, I gave them a visual on what it's supposed to be doing, and I also talked about what your hands were supposed to be doing. I could talk about what angle your feet need to be at. Any extra information than what's given in the lesson plan is called personalization. The same thing is true when I go to my next requirement. The next requirement for the perform this drill movement is that we have to perform it at the cadence of quick time. I could simply blow right past there and move on to the next portion of my lesson here. Or I could say something like, trainees, the cadence of quick time is 100 to 120 steps or beats per minute. Understand that that is not in the verbiage of your lesson plan. I don't have to say that. It's personalization to add that in there. Now, I mean, I could say it's 100 to 120 steps or beats per minute, but if you're not into music, that still might blow right over your head and you might not understand what I'm talking about there. A lot of people talk about the cadence of quick time as being the same rhythm at which a dump truck backs up, with that solid beeping noise that you hear when you put it into reverse. I personally, when I'm talking about cadence of quick time, I talk about choreography, dancing. When you're dancing, all the dancers are doing certain things at the exact same time. Me personally, I found that's very helpful to get my trainees to understand what drill is. You know, every other aspect of basic training, they're asked to move fast, move fast, move fast, move fast. But drill is the opposite of that. Drill, we're performing in choreography. We're doing things at a certain pace. Everyone's heel beats on count 2 of the drill movement should come together with snap because it's done at the cadence of quick time. So if I mention something along the lines of, hey trainees, we have to perform this drill movement at the cadence of quick time. The cadence of quick time is 100 to 120 steps or beats per minute. But let me make this make sense to you. I'm going to date myself here. If you were to watch In Sync and you were to watch them dance, all the different movements that they do, all those different dance movements are all done in rhythm with one another. The same thing is true for this drill movement. You're all moving in rhythm with one another throughout performing this drill movement. That's what the cadence of quick time is talking about.